Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here. Wanted to give everyone a little bit more of an in-depth look of what's going on in the tropics, specifically the Gulf of Mexico. By now, you probably have heard that we're likely going to see, at the very least, a tropical storm, if not a hurricane, develop in the Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days. And landfall along the northern Gulf Coast looking pretty likely at some point by Wednesday or possibly early Thursday morning. So we'll go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look into what's going on in the tropics. Let's see if I can get my graphics to work here. There we go. So specifically, we're watching what is now called potential tropical cyclone 6. I know that's a mouthful, but the reason why the National Hurricane Center designates these systems as that is because it doesn't quite have a well-defined center of circulation, but this allows them to issue tropical storm watches, warnings, and it also allows them to put out a forecast cone, and I'll show you that here in just a few moments. Hurricane hunters, we're flying through this broad area of low pressure today. Didn't quite find that well-defined center of circulation, but it looks like we have had some wind speeds of about 50 miles per hour within the system. It's just not super organized at this time. Are seeing some of those thunderstorms developing with this area of low pressure where we have that brighter pink color on satellite. That includes some, or indicates some high cloud tops, which indicates some thunderstorms, some towering clouds. That may be a sign that it's strengthening a little bit more. So PTC 6 likely going to become Tropical Storm Francine by the end of Monday, and it's not going to be moving around too much over the next day or so. Once we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, that's when it will start to pick up steam a little bit more. Notice there, the National Hurricane Center's forecast, the one put out at 4 o'clock, has it becoming at the very least a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall somewhere either along the coast of East Texas or into parts of Louisiana. The cone of uncertainty a little bit wider up there. There is some uncertainty with the exact track, and part of the reason is it doesn't have a well-defined center of circulation. So forecast models are going to be kind of wobbling here or there, it looks like, until we get that well-defined center. So even for us here in South Mississippi, we really need to pay attention to this, and because really track will determine everything, especially if it makes a little bit more of an easterly track. That would bring more impacts for us. If it takes a bit more of that westerly track, more so into Texas, I'm still expecting some heavy rainfall, but our impacts may be a little less significant in terms of coastal flooding. So track is everything, and based on what we're looking at right now, heavy rain, coastal flooding, and even spin-up tornadoes are going to be possible for us as we get into Wednesday and also into Thursday, especially on Thursday morning. Also want to note too that a good rule of thumb for people in the cone of uncertainty to always prep for a category higher than what's in the official forecast. Always good to be prepared. Even for us in South Mississippi, even though we are not under the cone, clearly this is a good reminder that things can spin up fairly quickly. There's not a ton of time for some areas to prepare for this. We're only talking just 2 or 3 days. So always good to be on guard, especially as we are in the peak of hurricane season this week. So not unusual at all that we're starting to see more of this tropical activity. Let's see if I can get some of our spaghetti plots here to show you some estimated tracks. There we go. Forecast models, even without the center of circulation, fairly clustered around Texas, Louisiana as potential landfall. And again, that is mainly looking to be at some point on Wednesday. Whether that's going to be during the day or during the evening, a little up in the air. We'll have a better idea of that over the next day or so into Monday and Tuesday. Reason why it's going to be taking this track? Well, we have an area of high pressure that's going to be in the mid to upper levels near Florida and Cuba as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. So these tropical systems typically follow the edge of ridges. That's what PTC 6 is going to be doing. Now, if the ridge ends up being a little bit stronger, that would nudge it to more of a westerly track. That would be better news for us in South Mississippi. That would bring less of an impact. If the ridge weakens a little bit, that would raise a few more red flags for us. That would cause a bit more of an easterly track for PTC 6, thus bringing us more impact. So the ridge really going to be a key player into where exactly this system is going to go. So that is something else we're going to watch, but just a little bit of the science behind why we expect it to take this particular track up into Texas and also Louisiana. So stay tuned. Again, track is really going to be a big player into how much rain we're going to see, how much coastal flooding we're going to see. So again, we will be paying very close attention to that. So this is our in-house forecast model. We call it Futurecast. I'm sure you've heard of that as you've watched us over the air. So generally showing some slower development over the next 24 hours, and then it really wraps up, it looks like, by the end of Tuesday and into Wednesday. Now this particular run does show some heavier rain bands on the outskirts, moving in by Wednesday morning, even into the afternoon. This particular run we just got in looks like took a little bit more of an easterly jog, so that's something we will watch out for. This more so takes the track into central and southeast Louisiana, which that would mean more impacts for us in terms of spin-up tornadoes and heavy rainfall and also coastal flooding. Anytime we get these tropical rain bands, there's a good chance of getting these very quick spin-up tornadoes, and they're often hard to catch sometimes. Sometimes they can develop in between radar scans, so we really have to be on guard with those. Usually they're short-lived, but they can touch down very quickly. That's going to be one of our concerns with some of these rain bands potentially on Wednesday and maybe even into Thursday morning if some of those bands continue. So not only that, could see some heavy downpours. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. This is their forecast amount over the next 4 to 5 days, at least through Friday. They potentially have some spots picking up 3 to 5 inches of rain in South Mississippi. That's if we get some of those heavier downpours, those heavier rain bands to move over us. Again, if we end up getting a bit more of that westerly track into parts of Texas, rainfall amounts could be a little bit lower. That easterly track certainly could bring more heavy rainfall for us. And the ground fairly saturated with some of the rain that we had this previous week. Thankfully, we were able to dry out yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Our rain chance is not very impressive, but if we get too much rain in a short amount of time, can't rule out some flash flooding on Wednesday and also into Thursday. Not only could we see a little flash flooding, but coastal flooding could also be an issue. With winds picking up out of the south and east by the end of Wednesday and more so out of the south by Thursday morning, that could help to push some of that water a little bit farther inland. Low-lying areas will be having to watch out for some coastal flooding. And just a heads up, we are looking at high tide early Thursday morning between about 4 and 6 o'clock. Generally speaking, Hancock County seems to be the most vulnerable spot. I don't see any reason why that also wouldn't be the case this time around. So if you live in a low-lying area in Hancock County near the coast, just a heads up, coastal flooding probably going to be an issue once we get into Wednesday and Thursday. That being said, still could be an issue certainly for Harrison and Jackson counties as well. So rain may not be the only thing causing some flooding. We may have some of that water push a little bit farther inland late Wednesday and also into Thursday. Heaviest chance of rain or best chance of rain really going to be Wednesday into Thursday. We have tagged those on our 7-day forecast as alert days. We just want everyone to be prepared for that, not only with the rain, but also the chance for spin-up tornadoes and that coastal flooding. It's going to be breezy or even windy that day, I would say, especially by the end of Wednesday into Thursday as the system starts to get a little bit closer to us. Again, more of that easterly track, more impacts, westerly track into Texas. That would mean less of an impact for us here in South Mississippi. So as the system PTC6 gets a little bit more organized, gets to that center of circulation, our forecast models are going to have an easier time tracking it. Plus, with the hurricane hunters flying in and out of these systems or this system, that's also going to help out our forecast as well. So all in all, Wednesday, Thursday, really going to be the days where we need to watch out for this. Tomorrow, Monday, there is a small chance for a few showers, not much. Tuesday, really looking at more so of the rain right on the coast and offshore. So if you need to make any preparations possibly, tomorrow, Not a bad day for that. Rain's not going to be much of an issue. It's going to be warm and a little bit more humid with highs in the upper 80s. Elsewhere in the tropics, we do have 2 other waves that we're watching. Neither of these too much of a concern for us at this point. They're not going to be impacting land, at least in the short term. As far as we can tell, looks like these are going to be heading out to sea. Of course, things could change, but for the time being, not too much of a concern. Clearly, we are going to be monitoring PTC 6 over the next couple of days. This evening, nice, quiet. This morning, if you were up early, it was really nice outside. We had temperatures in the 60s and low 70s. The humidity was low. As far as I can tell, the humidity has increased, and it looks like it's increased quite a bit. We have dew points back into the mid 70s, so the mugginess in the air is returning just in time to kick off the work week, but temperature's not too bad. We're in the upper 70s, it looks like, in Gulfport. Eventually, we'll drop down into the low 70s on the coast. Some upper 60s still possible farther inland. The humidity won't be as high for some of our inland areas tomorrow morning, and rain chances tonight basically slim to none. We still have this boundary well to our south that's causing some of those showers and thunderstorms, but it's starting to lift back to the north, allowing a little bit more of that moisture to move in. We can see that. A big difference in dew points just across Hattiesburg and here on the coast. Dew point of 75 in Gulfport, dew point of 59 in Hattiesburg. So just a drive on Highway 49 makes a big difference in terms of the humidity. If you're up into Wiggins, probably not feeling as humid at this point. But of course on the coast, already starting to feel a little bit more of that moisture creeping in. And obviously with more of that tropical moisture associated with PTC 6, it's going to be more humid by the middle of the week. In addition to that, we are looking at much higher rain chances by Wednesday and Thursday. So zooming in a little bit here locally for tomorrow, I still wouldn't rule out a few stray showers. Can't completely be caught off guard with a little rain. Most of us are going to stay rain-free. It will be warm, humid with temperatures in the upper 80s. Tuesday, I do expect us to have a better chance of seeing some showers, especially closer to the coast. Inland areas maybe not getting as much rain. Now, if we get more rain and cloud cover on Tuesday, it's not going to be as hot with highs more so in the low to mid 80s. There are those alert days there, Wednesday, Thursday. That's going to be the time frame where we may have heavy rain, some gusty winds, spin up tornadoes if we remain on the east side, or at least close enough to the system on the east side by Wednesday and Thursday. So heads up there. Maybe you need to make some preparations. Never a bad idea to go through your hurricane supply kit. Maybe you're low on a few supplies. Head out tomorrow, grab those just in case things change. Always best to be over prepared than under prepared. Even if landfall at this time is looking to be more so into Louisiana, maybe Texas, again, always recommend being a little bit over prepared for that. So tomorrow, if you need to make any preparations, Monday, today, that day is the day to do it. Tuesday even, not too bad, still could be showery, but Wednesday, that's when things may be getting a little rough around the area with that heavy rain and coastal flooding. Now, at least it looks like the system moves in and out fairly quickly. By the end of Thursday, most of those rain bands should be out of the way. Still could be breezy at times, but by Friday and Saturday, things are looking calmer, quieter, and also warmer with a little bit more sunshine. So current time right now is 9:20. Hopefully everybody can join us for our newscast at 10 o'clock. That's when the National Hurricane Center will be releasing their latest forecast track and also intensity forecast for PTC 6. There is a good chance it will be getting a name tomorrow. The next name on the list is Francine. So you may be hearing that name thrown out a little bit more by Monday and Tuesday. Chances are it looks like it is going to be strengthening into a hurricane before making landfall. So that does raise a few red flags, especially for us on the Gulf Coast. A bit more of that easterly track would bring more impacts for us. So we will closely monitor not only tonight, but also tomorrow as we get the latest data in. The hurricane hunters are going to be in and out of the system, getting all the latest information that we can use for some of our forecast models. So that being said, I hope everybody can join us at 10 o'clock tonight for the very latest. So with that, I'm going to get ready for our newscast, and I hope to see you there.